Welcome back to Radio Detox. Great guest today, Car Gonzalez. He is the co-founder and CEO of Pleblab in Austin. And if you don't know, Pleblab is a hackerspace and community accelerator for the Bitcoin era. The era that we're in, as tough as it may be, he's focused on early stage founders at Pleblab. Car helps builders go from idea to product to revenue and to find success on their terms. At Pleblab, Car helps run Startup School, Top Builder, Bitcoin Builders Club, and Startup Day across the US and Latin America. He also hosts Early Days, co-hosts Stacker News Live with Keon, and helps produce Pleb TV so founders and builders can learn what actually works, grows, and gets you to meet the right people at the right time. Car's background's media, systems, the arts, and community ops. He likes tightening the GTM, lining up the products and partners, and being in the trenches with founders and projects from day zero through the first checks. Car is here to help founders and builders win and stack compounding real-world advantages for the Bitcoin ecosystem. So if you're building, investing, or want a partner, he's the man. We have a lot to talk about today. Car, welcome to Radio Detox.
Thanks, Heather. It's amazing to be here. Big fan of the show. Big fan of what you're doing here on Substack. So thank you.
Dude, likewise. Big fan of everything you guys have been doing at Pleblab. And, I'm in probably too good of a mood today because it's Saturday. As we're recording this, it's August 1st. So let's get into the meaty part, the horrible thing that is happening right now in Bitcoin with the coin card. I'm sure you've got some thoughts, or maybe you've probably heard some things already out in Austin. First of all, we're hoping you're okay and that everybody you know is okay.
I think that, there was definitely like a big scare this week. It's kind of funny because we had planned this like 2 or 3 weeks ago or whatever it was, Heather, and nowhere did I would ever imagine something like this would have happened. I think for me personally, my heart just goes out to all the plebs and all the people that lost Bitcoin in this. It's terrible, absolute devastating. To me, like personally, this is almost like if Bitcoin got hacked personally, and to a lot of people, that's how they're feeling. And just in our local community here in Pleblab, like there's a lot of people that were freaking out and were messaging me on Slack and some of these other things. And so I think from what I can tell, it seems like we were able to save, at least people in our community.
Good.
And then separately, just outside of that, when I talk to all the really smart, big brain people inside of Pleblab, like the ones who are building a lot of this stuff, who knows exactly what's going on. And some of the stuff they tell me is just like really alarming. And I think we were saying it right before the show, but I realize now, like, we all need to take our own responsibility for our own stack going forward. And that means like pen testing, and that means like thoroughly looking through the stuff that we are saving our Bitcoin on.
I think we need to kind of all like take a pause and reevaluate our setup, reevaluate our ritual around it. Did we set things up right? Do we need to start over? Do we, it's just kind of, I'm second guessing a lot of things right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's very likely that we'll probably start like a Bitcoin security group or something out of Pleblab that will have some sort of like public thing that we can share with people. And that sort of thing. Because I just think at this point, like it's on us. It's on us plebs. It's on us, the individuals, to secure our stack. And we should be pen testing and like telling people ethically what's going on.
I think that as a whole, I think Bitcoiners are really smart, motivated people, motivated to learn. We're very conscientious. It just seems like this is, in a way, I mean, not to take away from the failure of certain individuals or companies, but I think as a community, I think we failed here. I think we didn't educate ourselves and one another properly. I think a lot of things went wrong. And I think we're going to be unpacking this for a long time.
Yeah. And I think also to your point, there's definitely a trust pool that happened this week with certain people. And that's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, that's our responsibility for putting that trust in them. We have only ourselves to blame, obviously. But we do need to, that's what I was saying earlier, we do need to take our own we need to take our responsibility for ourselves. And we need to get back to the hardcore Bitcoin ethos that we used to have before a lot of the stuff that we've seen over the past few years. Because I realize at this point, a lot of those people just don't have, the best intentions for us. And we just need to take it to ourselves and do these things and help as many people as we can locally. And that's the best you can do, right? Start with yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. I've been thinking about that a lot for the last few months of like, I should be a better Bitcoiner than I am. Like I should get back to the nuts and the bolts, the basics of it, which are, understanding Bitcoin, educating myself about Bitcoin, running the node, doing the self-custody, running some kind of home miner. I think that feels like those are the fundamentals to me. Like, and to know my stuff in such a way that I can be conversational about it when I'm talking to people who are new to Bitcoin. And so that I don't automatically go into like weird Bitcoin maxi jargon. Like if my niece comes to me and asks about Bitcoin, I want to be able to know my stuff in such a way that I can conversationally relate to a 24-year-old and, a 24-year-old girl, no less, like a young woman, because women seem so much less inclined to do the Bitcoin thing and all the highly technical things. Like my niece, like barely understands like the Cash App wallet. She's not going to come to me to learn about self-custody and running a node, right? Like I got to get in where I fit in. And so I feel, or I felt, I should say, for the last few months, like I need to be a better Bitcoiner. And I need to like maybe review some of the fundamentals. And then this happened and I'm like, okay, I can't be alone in this because I'm watching everybody kind of react real time on Twitter to what's going on. And I'm watching people who I know to be very accomplished, very intelligent Bitcoiners, absolutely just floored. Like people didn't think about entropy. People didn't think about dice rolls. People didn't think about CoinCard just had such a good reputation for years that like nobody saw this coming. And I think that one of the problems here, I've spoken to a friend locally about this, is yes, it's open source. Yes, you can evaluate the code, but how many people using the thing actually can do that? I can't do that. I'm not a dev. I don't know how to review code. I don't know how to dig into the CoinKite code and evaluate it for what I should be looking for. So like, how can I trust it? But I didn't think about that before this week. I mean, that's just like one of the things that I'm seeing people talk about.
Yeah. And that's kind of goes back to what I said, a while ago, is like, we all just need to take our own stack seriously and be responsible for it ourselves. And that's always been the case. Somewhere along the way, we all didn't do that, or at least I'm speaking for myself. I didn't do that. So it's one of those things where now I'm going to take it far more seriously now. It's a good lesson that we all learned, there's a reason why we say don't trust, verify. And this week we all learned that. I learned that. So I think the only thing we can do is move forward. I'm not sure like what's going to happen with some of these other hardware devices or some of these other things. But at this point, I don't trust any of them. That's kind of where I'm at. And it's nothing to do with their brand, the people that work for them, nothing to do with that. I just don't trust any of these things anymore. And it's just going to force me to have to go a little harder as far as like verifying some of this stuff. So which is good. This is all good. This is what I used to do in IT. So it's, yeah. And So it's just at some point we just got to start like trying to break these things and we'll get there.
That's a key.
So that's what we're thinking here locally is like,
let's break them. Let's get every hardware wallet, get them all together in a pile, systematically go through one by one, try to break every single one.
No. And I think that's what we should be doing. We should have been doing this the whole time. Obviously these companies should have been doing that themselves, but to be honest, like a lot of these companies don't have 20, 30, 40, 50 million, $100 million behind them. So they can't even hire the security professionals that you would need to do this stuff. So in that sort of scenario, you can't really blame them in a lot of ways for not having it. But us as Bitcoiners should have kind of looked into that. So I think even right now, if you kind of look at the things that's out there, you can kind of just go and run your own, your own Kimmy or whatever, and look into like maybe possibly there's some other stuff that could be attacked, and based on how much they actually have to invest in security, maybe they don't have a big budget. And that's where I'm starting to realize that a lot of these Bitcoin companies are severely underfunded. And the fact that, no one has given them adequate amount of funding is kind of like, it's weird in a lot of ways, but
yeah.
And I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm just saying that's just a red herring for me personally.
Yeah. There's a weird thing in this industry that, I've long said, if you're going to be in Bitcoin, you come here because you're either a finance bro or a tech bro, right? You're one or the other. And this is an example of where you cannot be one or the other. You got to be both. You got to walk finance and you've got to walk tech. And this is a part where tech failed finance. right? This is the two both have to be operating at an elite level at a startup. And yes, it does need to be funded. Like we do need to be doing the security research. I think this, if I'm not mistaken, came from Block doing the research. Block has funding. They were able to do that. They were able to find this vulnerability. But in the meantime, like, wallets got drained. I mean, there was a tragic story or two that I saw on Twitter. I mean, it just blew my mind. There was one guy I saw who said he had more than $1 million on the cold card in the security, the safe deposit box. And he's thinking, well, it never touched the internet. It was air gapped, right? So I should be safe. And sure enough, he logs into his online account and he's like, oh my God, I got hit. That is so much money to lose. And you think it's safe because it never went online. It was air gapped. It is in literal cold storage, right? It's in a safe deposit box somewhere. So you think your money is safe, but it's gone, and I think the next step is like what you're saying, like is how we move forward, how we study the security of this. And also the postmortem on this is going to be amazing, but how do we, I guess people are going to want their money back. I mean, people are going to attack CoinKite, like with all the legal ramifications that they can muster. Like this guy who lost more than $1 million said he went down to the police station. He's in Canada somewhere. So he said he went down to the police station, filed a report, not because he thinks it's going to help him get his money back, but just because he felt like he had to do something, like there are going to be so many things that come out of this that hopefully will be better. But this is a group of people who love to build and hate the man and hate governance. We hate regulation, but at the end of the day, like people are going to get mad and go, okay, there were no protections here, and now there's going to be probably some class action lawsuit or something. It's going to get weird.
Yeah. It's really sad. Like I've seen a lot of those posts. It's freaking awful. Like my stomach just hurts just thinking about it.
Gut wrenching.
And quite frankly, like, I understand why people are screaming and hollering and shouting and being emotional this week about it, myself included. Like, and I don't feel bad for doing it. And I don't think people should feel bad for doing that. Like, let out emotion however you feel. Mm-hmm. I mean, and then forgiveness comes next, right? And we're all in this together, like it or not, and we're going to figure it out together. And so that's why, like, for me personally, like, if you're upset about it, dude, lash out. You should. Like everybody should lash out. That now is not the time to hold back. And then let's get ourselves, let's pick ourselves up and start trying to fix this going forward. And I think that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like in that stage where the past couple of days have just been lashing out and being upset and being emotional. And now I'm like finally like, okay, I'm done with being emotional. I'm ready to like get through this.
The stages of grief, right?
Let's just move on.
Yeah. That's acceptance, right?
Exactly.
You went through the stage. We've been sad. We've been angry. We've bargained. Let's move it forward. I guess make it better. Be better Bitcoiners. I think the community did rally and come together. At least from my end, I saw a lot of my friends helping each other out. I was texting friends. I was getting in touch with people saying, "Are you okay? Did you get hit?" And fortunately, like everyone I know in my inner circle has been fine. That's a blessing because I do worry, like that can literally like, having a background where I've worked in mental health and substance abuse, right? I've seen where when people have a financial problem and they think there's no way out, that can be very serious. Of course, substance abuse can be a part of coping with that. And also, people can become suicidal. I mean, you lose something you've saved for years. That is an absolute fortune. Man, I hope that nobody goes there. Like, I hope people have solid mental health. I hope people know how to ask for help. I hope people have a support system if they've been victims of this. It feels like it's a crime. It feels like it's a tragedy. I mean, like, I know you're like, I got mad, I'm moving on. And it's bad. It's like, there has to be consequences. And like you're saying, it's okay to be mad and it's okay to move on. Like, I agree. And I think there also has to be like deep, dire consequences. We cannot just let people develop on Bitcoin for their ego and at other people's expense. Like, this is not okay. This is not a sign of a healthy ecosystem, in my opinion. We've got to fix this.
Yeah. And I will say, like, I feel like Stacker News, kind of what my friend Keon built, he really built something really amazing there where that community definitely has like the right ethos when it comes to learning from each other.
Yeah.
Like when the whole coin kite thing happened, like I went straight there and there was just already Scoresby was writing about stuff. There's already posts, it was like up to date, merch was in there. It was amazing. And
That's cool.
it was one of those things where I realized I was like, oh wow, like having your own community online where you can go and verify and trust things because you know these people, you've interacted with them on just this platform. It was far more for me like clear than if I would have went on Twitter and try to dissect what was going on. It was just, and everything was being filtered correctly inside of the stuff that Scoresby was posting that day on Thursday and Friday. And I'm just grateful that like that community exists in Bitcoin. And quite frankly, yeah, I agree. And I think, I don't know how it's going to shake out. That's not my lane of understanding of how
God, who could know?
like, are people going to be able to get some money back to all this? Yeah. And I would imagine like behind the scenes, there's probably already conversations about this, but that will all happen next week. I'm sure we'll hear about it next week. And it's unfortunate because there's people's lives are attached to a lot of these companies, and you know, families are involved. And so right away, like for me personally, I would never wish them ill will because, you know, because of like what had happened. It's an honest mistake, I would imagine. And but yeah, at the same time, like they all have families, they all have kids. Like you don't want to wish somebody ill will like that because other people are affected outside of that one individual. So for me personally, I don't know what's going to happen, but like you said, like it's just going to play out the way it's going to play out. And yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, like I hope people get their money back. I hope the hacker is caught. You know, I hope things come to light because I think the community deserves that. Like I think in the least, like we should get information about everything that happened exactly as it happened. You know, and it might need to be dumbed down for a non-technical audience too. I mean, there are plenty of people in Bitcoin who I would think, myself included, who would identify as non-technical, right? Like we've got to be able to, I think in the long run, really dumb things down. Like we really need to be able to dumb down node running, self-custody. We need to dumb it down to like the level of grandma being able to understand it, because I know we all want to orange pill grandma. You know, like I have hope that we can do this. And I think that's one of the lessons that has to come out here. Like I know as a woman, some of the things I've dealt with in the space with some of the devs, not all of the devs, but some of them don't have the patience. They don't have the bedside manner sometimes. I think some of these people aren't ready for prime time. And there may be a little bit of a scent of that happened here. And I think sometimes when that happens and somebody thinks that they're the smartest person in the room and they're the decision maker and they won't listen to other people and they won't listen to users and they won't listen to the non-technical part of the audience, I think that's some toxicity that feeds into this type of situation. Like, we've got to be able to listen to what people need. And when it comes to self-custody, and then I know a lot of us are going to second guess self-custody now. Not that it's a bad thing, but I think I'm going to second guess how I do it from now on. I mean, I'm obviously second guessing everything right now, but in the long run, like it's not going to be just who made the product, how is it made? It's how am I going to use it? Am I really going to sit there and do the amount of dice rolls? Am I really going to sit there and look at a binary of zeros and ones? Like, can I trust myself to do that? You know, or do I want to do self-custody at all? Am I the kind of person who would be better not doing self-custody? I mean, I'm kind of asking myself all of these questions now.
Yeah, and that's where, like, for me personally, I think everybody has to make that decision on their own now. There would have been a time where even myself included would have answered that and try to give you helpful advice. But now I realize that no, you shouldn't be doing that in Bitcoin anymore. You should be telling people to make that decision for yourself. Tell them about the different ways that you see that are out there and leave the rest for them to figure out. And I think that was the biggest learning point for me personally this week is like, we all just need to stop giving advice about Bitcoin products and hardware and all sorts of things and how to control. No, like we should probably come together as a community, like talk about the different solutions, implementations, and all that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, you as the individual need to protect your own stack because everybody's going to try to steal it from you. And I think this week proved that regardless how, like you need to be thinking through this, you need to be watching carefully, all this stuff. And it sucks, but this is where we're at this week. That's how I feel personally. But I mean,
I think I'm there with you. Like, I think I saw a lot of people trying to blame AI too. Like, I think it's human nature to see something like this and watch people lose their life savings and go, well, let's blame, the person. Let's blame the times that we live in and the AI and this, that, and the other. And it's like, this was a collective failure. There were people who, admittedly, I would say there were influencers. There are influencers in the space who get brand deals and they do podcasts. It's certainly not me, but there are people who may have not the best motivations, right? Like at this point, I'm not making a full-time living in the space, so I feel like that's a good thing actually, because I feel like I am rather unbiased about certain things. I do still work for and take money from Wrigley. I mean, that is still a business of mine that I do. But other than that, like I don't like I think I have enough objectivity at this point in time. Like I'm not afraid to speak my mind, in other words, which I think is a good thing. And so I think that's part of the space too, where it's like maybe some of us lacked understanding. Maybe we didn't receive enough education on self-custody. Now we're second guessing it. Maybe we listened to the wrong people. We didn't consider the source and where the source was receiving money from. Right. I think some of us are a little more non-technical. And so that's part of the problem too. I think we need to look at like all of the issues here and that there are several layers of problems that we kind of need to dig through.
Yeah. And yeah, even to your point, like even us, even Pleblab itself, like in 2023 or 2022, like CoinKite partnered with us on some CoinKite products that we had, and we slapped their sticker on our website and all that kind of stuff. And I remember back then I was like, oh, cool. We have CoinKite, as a partner for, whatever it was back then.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I'm just as guilty to make that mistake as any one of these other people that are out there doing it. Obviously we didn't get paid anything for that, but it was, like you said, they had such a great brand when it came to the hardcore Bitcoiners who said that these were legit products, and myself included, fell right into that same kind of thing now. And here we are. Right. So that's why I feel like even myself, I'm, we're just as responsible
we're part of the problem, right?
as some of these other people, but at the same time, like, yeah, but at the same time, I realize now, like, it was funny because yesterday somebody had reached out to me and they were asking about a certain Bitcoin company that wanted to come sponsor the startup day that we had in Guadalajara. And I said, no, because of their, just from what I know about them. And I was like, no, not going to do that, because I'm realizing now, like you slap a logo, you slap a brand next to yours, and you're telling people they are legit. They are a legit company. And
it's like a cosign,
all that kind of stuff. And I've seen all sorts. Yeah. And I've seen all sorts of founders come through the space and, but it's just, you gotta really, I think now more than ever, you gotta really think through that these days. And there's really no way to know for sure, but you should probably do your own discernment and make the best decision at the time, or at the time of making that decision, I guess. But it's tough. Like it's tough. This things happens all the time.
Yeah. Like I would have, if you'd asked me last week, I would have probably said, like, if you asked me what the best hardware wallet was, I probably would have said,
me too,
CoinKite. Like the perception, like the brand perception was there. I never bought one. I don't remember at the time that I was buying a hardware wallet. Like I went with somebody else and I don't remember why. Maybe price was a factor. Maybe the complicatedness of it was a factor, like, I don't know. It seemed like it was probably the best hardware wallet, but there were also other choices. So I went with something else. And now I don't feel like I even want to say which one I use, right? Because I don't want that information out there for sure. Because I don't think that matters as much. But then I'm like, well, gosh, maybe it does, because at the end of the day, like, it's so easy to get into a wallet, whether it touched the internet or not. Like does the hardware matter as much as I used to think it did? The security is what matters more. The entropy apparently is what matters the most. I just want to start over. I just want to hit the reboot button and just like do it all over again. But you can't. We can only live and learn. I think that, talking to that part about you being part of the problem, I saw that like BTC sessions definitely, so far, I'm sure I haven't seen everybody, but he jumped out at me as like somebody that I've seen online so far take accountability and say, you know what? His literal words were, "I were fucking wrong." I was fucking wrong. He said, and like he, called out some things, and that was just really good accountability. I see him there on Twitter. He's X, Twitter, whatever. I see him there saying, I'm trying to help as many people as possible. The BTC mentors trying to help as many people as possible. There's like, what is it, 1,200 people affected, or nearly 1,200 people affected. I mean, that's a lot of people.
I don't know. I don't know the count, but at this point, it's like you said earlier, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be out of Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm surprised a company hasn't been hit yet. With what's happened this week, because I would imagine a lot of family offices and a lot of like companies were probably leveraging cold cards and using multi-sig, and all with cold cards probably. So I would imagine like you'll see more of that probably next week. We'll see how it shakes out, but it's a horrible time all around. And like you said, yeah, it's good that some people are taking ownership and owning it, and that's all you can do in this situation. You got to own it, learn from it, don't let it happen again, right? It's the people that don't do that are super sus to me personally.
Yeah, the people who are just like, I didn't do it, sweeping it under, whatever. Anything that's the opposite of the accountability, I think that we're all seeking here. And you know what? This is where we're seeing who is part of the community and who can be a leader and who's taking accountability. Like, this is where we're seeing who's doing the right thing. Like even companies, like seeing companies react so quickly, like at Bitcoin Well, Crypto Cloaks, those guys got great emails out as fast as they could. So clearly I'm their customer because I'm on their list, right? But I saw Substacks going out. I also saw people who woke up the next day and went, oh my God, I had no idea because I'm not on social media. And now I wake up and, oh my God, I've lost my stack. Nobody told me. There was no way to get a hold of me, or you're starting to see this stuff come out, and it's absolutely gut wrenching to see people go through this. And it's for a group of people who really thought we were don't trust, verify. We really thought we were do your own research, right? This group of people really thought they were the shit. And then you see this happen, and we realize that we have some weaknesses. There's some holes that need to be plugged up here for sure. As far as knowledge and practice, like this was a big humbling for a lot of us. Every single, if you don't feel humbled right now, you might be part of the problem for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to switch gears though.
Trust pull.
Big trust pull. I want to switch gears though, because we want to talk about a couple different things. I want to talk about obviously it's August, and gosh, maybe people will walk into your hackathon and startup day with a different sentiment than we would have a week ago. But talk about Hackalahara and Startup Day Guadalajara coming up this month, just 3 weeks away.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, there's gonna be a lot of real hacking now in Bitcoin, and I'm looking forward to it. And fun. So we're doing Hackalahara. It's gonna be on the 20th. It's a Thursday. It's going to be here in 3 weeks. We're coming up pretty soon, and we're going to do it from. There's really hardcore Bitcoiners in Guadalajara, and they've been doing some really great community work down there. And I'm always on the lookout for these great communities that could use the Pleblab push, I like to call it, because it gets them on the map. It gets more attention that's well deserved to them. And so that was the goal with this year in Guadalajara, was like, hey, we've done this in Mexico City. We've done this in the Yucatan. Let's do this in Guadalajara again, and let's try to showcase some of these amazing builders down there, because I feel like personally, there's just not a lot of people helping out in Mexico. They'll help out in some of these other countries, but for whatever reason, they just skip right over Mexico. And I think that's for me personally, I realize that's God telling me, like, no, you're doing the right thing, son, here. Like, go help those people, because no one wants to help them. So one of the reasons is this. So yeah, 3 weeks, we're going to do a hackathon. A lot of those builders, a lot of those presentations will be done on Startup Day. And then we have friends with Audio. They're based out of Mexico City. They're a Bitcoin company, and they help onboard, plebs, high net worth people, all sorts of people onto their platform. And so they have their own kind of like Bitcoin thing going on. So, and yeah, we're gonna go hang out with those guys, and we're gonna have some really cool sessions and all that kind of stuff. I think I'm trying to pronounce it correctly because my Spanish is really bad, but Audio, I believe, Auero, Gustavo and that team. I've known them for a long time. They're ex-Bull Bitcoin guys, and I met them like back in I think 2021. So I've known them for a really long time. Some real ones over there, and hardcore Bitcoiners. And so yeah,
Good.
we're gonna have a nice time in Guadalajara, and we'll party, we'll have some drinks, and we'll have some pizza, and it'll be some tacos and stuff like that. So looking forward to it. I can't wait to hang out. Every time we do a startup day, it's always a lot of fun, and it always ends up with some really amazing project or company coming out of it. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, you keep working down there, you're going to get good Spanish skills eventually, right? So have you been down to Guadalajara before just to check out the scene before? Like tell me more about this scene.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I went there when I was really young. I don't remember. We actually did a hackathon in 2024 with that same group.
Mm-hmm.
And then this would be the second hackathon we've done over there. And for whatever reason, at that time, I didn't really see, it wasn't really as big as it is now. And I feel like the times now for them, like they have like a really good group of people there, like-minded hardcore Bitcoiners. And I get the sense that they're ready to take that next step as a community. And that's what, personally, like that's just always been something I love doing, is working with others and being a part of a bigger community. And you look at something like Austin for a second, like Austin has such a big Bitcoin community. And now we're at a point now where we have like, a few different places you can go and talk about Bitcoin at, which I think is amazing. And at the same time, like everybody has, it kind of reminds me of like, these different like kind of Bitcoin spaces that, if you don't like one, or you don't get along with somebody at one, then maybe you go this one, and vice versa, and all that kind of stuff.
Hey, that's what we do here in Arizona.
But you know what I'm trying to say? It's like, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's the same thing. It's all family, but it's kind of funny. Yeah, it's like families like that too, right? Like, so, but it's good though. Like, I actually think this is a good thing, because it actually helps people find their own tribe that they want to be with and stuff like that. And I'm all for that. And I've seen it. The musician scenes like that in Austin. It was like that when I came through here, where you had different pockets of musicians, and about that, like that would hang out together, that would record, produce, be in different bands together, and then you have like this other scene. And those, so it was good because it grew the overall pie for everybody. And that's my belief, is like, if you really want to grow Bitcoin in your community, you should probably spin out more communities in your community.
That's true. That's working for us.
So I
here.
see that possibility in Guadalajara.
That's cool. Like that's still a little far for me. You guys gotta get a little closer to my neighborhood. Rocky Point, that works. That's still like, a half a day drive for us here. The family goes down there a lot. So, next we got to get a Rocky Point for next year, so I can drive down. That'd be good. Then I don't have to fly. I've hated flying for like the last year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I think at some point we'll try to do a new city every year in Mexico, and we'll see how that goes. But like for right now, yeah, we're gonna do Guadalajara, and then and then also there's just a lot more from what I've seen, and not to say that we don't have that here in the States, but yeah, I see a lot more entrepreneurship in Mexico, and a lot more people hungry, and that thing, just, I love that. Like when you mix those two potions up, that it makes some really great founders and entrepreneurs in Bitcoin. So
that's cool. Like I hear good things about Mexico. I mean, obviously it's gotten like trendy for the nomad remote workers. People like to go down to Mexico City. People, that's so a little bit of that filters back, and you learn a little bit more here and there about the communities down there. Like I would definitely be interested in going down there. Like I'm not a hacker, so like I think my space I still fit in, and the larger, Bitcoin community is kind of like the creator. I'm like a hybrid nerd. Like I know just enough technical stuff to still consider myself non-technical, but I know I'm still more technical than a lot of the majority of people I know, right? Like not everybody has a GitHub, has tried vibe coding, that sort of thing, that I think that there's certainly, could be more of, or not. I think that I make my own contributions in my own little way, but this is going to be like more for like founders, developers, people who are like super serious with like a product idea in mind. Like, am I getting the right place here?
Yeah, exactly. So like, these days, it doesn't take very much to start a company, and honestly, you kind of probably need to start a company if you haven't already in Bitcoin. I know you have your own company that you have. So it's like, it's one of those things where like everybody, like we're in this kind of like vibe session right now anyway, where like everybody has like 3 or 4 jobs, myself included.
Yeah.
And, and it's just, it just created a wide gap in people needing to make money, right? So it's kind of one of those things where, if you're somebody who has like a regular job and you're doing like your own thing part-time, like that's probably the way that everybody's doing it these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you go to a lot of these things. Like I was telling you off air, there's a thing here at Phoenix called Venture Cafe. Like Austin could use a Venture Cafe. Like it's a really cool place to go and meet with other people who are maybe small businesses, maybe want to work in tech, maybe they're founders, maybe they've got VC, maybe they're looking for the VC. It's like a great kind of an incubator. Like if you're really, I guess, interested in doing VC or you're doing a startup, like it's a good place to be if you're serious. Because if you're not serious, it's going to weed out the suckers real fast. But if you're actually serious and you want to like go through the process, like that's a good place to start here in Phoenix. And it's a great community feel. I mean, it's just like a couple hundred people show up every Thursday night and like chat, learn, kind of network, and there's workshops, and like that's just a super cool. Like I really just think we need more stuff like that because it's free. They give you a couple drink tickets. Of course, I'm sober, so I get a couple ginger ales. Talk to a bunch of random people. I think you always end up finding the person you're meant to talk to. Or you find somebody who's like, if you just, I don't know, you attract people who are on the same path as you. So that's kind of a lot of fun. I think we need more spaces like that. We need more Pleblab. We need more hackons. We need more of the stuff that you're doing, Car, to keep, growing this community, especially at a time like this. We're all kind of down. We were down anyway. It's a bear market. The coin card thing happens. Now we're all really feeling some kind of way. Like people really need the real life connection and the productivity. We need to be coming together in a productive way where like, hey, social connection being the bare minimum, but I think we want to like create a community together. Maybe some people want to build things. Some people just want to learn things. Some people want to start companies. But there's room for all of it, and I think that you create, that container that you're creating with Pleblab and with these different startup days and Hackalahara. Like, I think you're kind of giving us that container where we can come participate and find our way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like kind of like you said, like we have a capital factory that's right across the street from us, and they were the one that gave Pleblab its first office inside of there. This was during the COVID thing, and we were able, just as a group of plebs and founders and devs and stuff, we were able to do the Bitcoin block party, the one that we did on Rainy Street. Thousand people, 1,000+ people at that time in 21. And that was kind of what kicked off Pleblab. And then from there, we've just held on. Like we're like cockroaches. We're really hard to kill. And that's what they say inside of Pleblab. Like the guys say that inside of Pleblab. You guys are just fucking hard to kill. It's like, well, it's not by design. It's just that we're a group of people that like working with each other, and we like building alongside each other. And we have a trust, amongst each other. And I know they have my 6 and I have their 6. It's kind of one of those things. But getting back to like the capital factory stuff, but like if it wasn't for them, like we would have probably have been around. So I'm very grateful that we have like something like a capital factory with us. And then upstairs, even in our own building, we're here on Brazos, so like right across the street's capital factory. Upstairs is Antler, and Antler's like this big like YC type of accelerator for tech companies. And we go and talk to them too. Like we just had the Antler lady shows here last week, and we're chatting it up about working together on stuff. And I've just come to realize that like Pleblab in general just has this very narrow niche thing, which is just Bitcoin only. And we just stay that way, and everything else will take care of itself. And I think there's just, at least in the Bitcoin space, and founders, they think they have to build these amazing things overnight. And that's just not what it is in building in Bitcoin. You have to build them slow and steady, and it sucks and it takes time. And if you're really out there chasing the next trend, you're just not going to make it. You really have to, I think Francis, when I think of like people that I look up to in Bitcoin, Francis is somebody who I 100% look up to, because he's somebody that very slow about building his product out, makes the right checks and balances, but he's somebody that I have a lot of respect for. Joe at Unchained is another person that I have a lot of respect for.
Francis, which Francis? Which Francis?
Francis from Bull Bitcoin.
Okay, that's what I know there's like 2 Francis, right? There's like Francis Mars with PubPaid. I mean, I was like, which Francis is it? But yeah, I thought it might be that Francis too. So I just thought I'd ask for clarification. Like, which Francis is it?
Yeah.
Hey, we're big enough in Bitcoin now. We have more than one Francis.
But yeah, it's kind of like those people you see them build. And even my friend Keon here, who's building Stack and it's just slow and steady. And that's just how I approach building Pleblab. It's just slow and steady. And just the more thing is just like being consistent and being stable enough to support the people that you can, and just keep trotting along. I mean, that's all you really can do. It's really a game of survival, really. And if you can get some big wins every once in a while, that's cool too. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's a long game, and that's just seems so cliche. But like what we're building with Wrigley, like we finally found a block, right? Like we've had this block party, and that's been like going on for 19 months. We had like 28 block parties before we got to a block, and I think there was a little while there, we were catching some flack, right? And it was, God, are these people ever going to find a block? And it was like, yeah, we finally, we changed the cadence of the party to being weekly, and we finally found a block. So we finally did it. And then we were like, okay, now what? And we're like, yeah, we're still in this long game. That wasn't the be all end all. We didn't hit the block and our lives were perfect. We were like, okay, on to solving the next problem, the next product problem, the next, finding the next block. We're not going to stop at one. We're going to keep going. And then we go, okay, if we're going to do this long-term and sustainably, we've got an inch. It's going to take us years. And we're cool with that. It's fine, and then as for the other stuff I do, the podcast and music stuff, also a long game. Anything I do with yoga, I'm still not in a world where people are just beating down my door to pay for my yoga classes with Bitcoin. We're not there yet. Would love to be the person who's accepting the Bitcoin payments for my yoga services, for my yoga teaching, but we're not there yet, and there's this cool chick, Petra, she has built a Zaprana so that a bunch of us can offer health, fitness, and wellness services on Zaprana. She vibe coded that. It's awesome. And so I'm like, this is cool. Most of the customers I have are still paying me in dollars. Has anybody ever paid me for yoga or Reiki or any of that stuff in Bitcoin? No, but it is possible now. We've got the rails built, maybe I can super serve that Bitcoin audience. But again, that's got to be in the long term. It's just not, we're not there today because with everything that I've worked on in the past couple of years, people are hodling, especially now. It's a bear market. We're just, everyone's saying, oh, I'm building, it's a bear, you got to build in a bear. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But I think it's also trendy to say that. I think it's better to be just quietly building in the background and just quietly looking for, what problem do I actually solve? Can I actually monetize this? Is there even a demand for people? Do people even want to pay me for yoga with Bitcoin? We're so not there yet. And that's okay. I can do other things right now. My whole world isn't dependent on making that happen. I'm not going to make that happen. Anything you force is it's not worth it. I'd rather things happen slowly, happen naturally. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to be an overnight sensation. You don't need to go viral. That doesn't need to happen. That stuff's from 10 years ago, that whole go viral thing. We don't need to do that now. I'd rather build an authentic community. I'd rather serve the people who I can actually serve. I don't need to serve everybody. I don't need to be everybody's flavor. I'm certainly not,
Yeah. I also think too, kind of what you were saying about building quietly and stuff like that. I think one of the things that we try to teach in startup school is just trying a lot of different things because you don't really know what's going to be the feature or the particular thing that people are going to resonate with. And I won't say who that team is that we have this year for startup school, but because we have to announce that later. But I would say one of the most interesting things this year, applying that those methods for this new team this year, and noticing that they think through things really, really fast. And sometimes you can overbuild, but once you kind of explain, hey, everybody's only using this one feature and it happens to do really, really well. Are we focusing on other things just as a distraction, or are we actually focusing on the thing that people actually could potentially produce revenue, and there could be some net there, right? And I think seeing them personally this year compared to last year, seeing them unlock that and then take that and run with it now, I'm just oh wow, once you kind of just give these people the methods on what to do, what to look for, the little alpha that's not shared out there, especially in Bitcoin, because no one will share that alpha in Bitcoin. But when you start giving these people these things, but when you start doing that, it's really cool to see that like they will take it to another level. And it's for me personally, I really do believe that there's a group of people, individuals that really want to build things in Bitcoin. And I think now is probably the best time than ever that you can. But I still think it requires a little bit more of a business mind than
it does.
And you're doing that. You're doing that with your thing, like you really have to have some of that. But if there's a push that you can get, like if somebody can push you in the right path, it could be really cool. It could be really cool to see those companies come out. Like Runster was somebody that we had last year in our startup school. He's absolutely killing it. Like I love that app. I use that app, and
thank you.
And from what I can tell, he's growing it slowly.
That's it. That's where it's at. I think there was probably a period of time when a lot of people came in as looky-loos, and they just wanted to hang out, and they just wanted to make the scene, and they wanted to say, "Oh, I built such and such, and here's my business card," and they wanted the ticket to the event. They wanted to be part of the crowd, I think, and that era is definitely over. You can't fake the funk, especially after what's just happened.
100%.
You got to be here and be serious. You don't have to be an MBA, but you have to actually give a shit about making money. I mean, we talk about the weak hands or the lettuce hands and weeding out suckers, but like, let's be real here. If you don't have a plan to make money, you're going to die. You can't just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. If by all means, be a hobbyist, spin your wheels, have a good time, but don't get mad at those of us who actually want to create something that's going to be sustainable over time. Like, I don't want to just make money. If I'm going to do the thing, I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to create jobs. Like I'm going to create so much value that I've made something that people want, and I'm creating jobs. Like that's where I think that people should be. Like, don't just, if you're in here for money, so you're a Wen Lambo guy, you're not going to make it. If you're in here because you just want to hobnob and go to the $450 dinner and you know what I mean, that's not a pleb to me. That's an elitist. We don't have room for that anymore either. Like this was the come to Jesus week. So if you still think that you need to have 6 figures of followers and you need to be the guy and you need to make the scene, like get out of your ego and fuck off, because like people lost their life savings this week. Like read the room. Yeah. That shit's over. You cannot anymore be a LARP. You can't be all hat in a saddle. You got to come in here swinging, and you got to survive. This is not an easy time we're in. This is the worst. I don't know, worst bear market, worst week in Bitcoin, this was a dark hour, and we got to get rid of I'm sorry, Car, but language, we got to get rid of these pussies. We got to get rid of them. We got to get rid of the people who aren't serious. I'm tired of this. I mean, I know you are too, but it's time for us to grow
tough
up.
Out there. I mean, it's tough out there, but To be honest, like everybody knows who these people are, and we don't have to
say their names.
That's why I like hanging out on Stacker News. Like I actually like hanging out on Stacker.news because there's not a lot of that. There's not a lot of ego there.
You're
Every
right.
once in a while, we'll all get into like a scruffle on there.
Those are fun scruffles, though. Like you hit the nail on the head with that. Like actually saying it explicitly. Like because now I think about it, like I haven't had a bad experience on Stacker News ever. Like I'll go in there, I'll post like once a week about my mining party. I'll be like, oh my God, we hit a block, or oh my God, look at like we got like a shit ton of hash rate. Wow, like I'll post stuff like that like once a week, and like it's an intelligent conversation. It's people who actually want to have that conversation. It's not like getting on Reddit or Nostr and it's just vitriol. And, not to say that Twitter isn't vitriol, because it certainly can be, once in a while it gets a little...
That's where I literally went. That's where I literally went. That's...
Yeah, I mean,
that's where I literally went to get upset about everything.
You went to Stacker News to get upset this week. Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, if you want to fight with somebody, that's where you
So
go.
I went to Stacker News to learn everything.
There you go. That's the difference. Like I hate Reddit, but I love Stacker News, and I get that like weekly digest on Stacker News to kind of like catch me up right now because I'm super busy, and I'm like, so like, what did I miss?
Exactly.
Because like, and it's a good ecosystem. I'm gonna post something. I'm gonna zap to post. Somebody's gonna zap me for posting. If my boss likes my post at Wrigley, like he'll zap it and be like, I zapped your post. So like it just has a good community feel. But there's nobody's been shitty to me there ever, which is not. I can't say that about Nostr. Like people have been hella shitty to me there. Like people just want to fight with you there, and then they act like it's the nice place and Twitter's the angry place. And I'm like, no, it's what you make it. That's the thing. If misery loves company, right? If I want to go bitch, like, yeah, Twitter, Noster, I will find that. But Stacker News, it is a good place to learn. It's just a place where I kind of like write and barf out an idea, and then like 6 people comment, and we move on.
Yeah, I think Stacker News definitely is one of the places I check in every day and find out what's actually happening in Bitcoin. And then, like you said, yeah, Noster and Twitter is just like, for stuff like this week, it's just pure lashing out personally for me. I don't know. I'm not apologizing for it. I think everybody deserves to do that if they feel that way. But yeah, usually I don't do that ever, but this has been a hell of a week.
I think a lot of the times, I think, and you and I talked about this off air, I think sometimes we don't lash out enough. Certainly this week is like, certainly we watch things go on. Yeah. Like we've not lashed out enough. Like we really, if we're going to hold ourselves accountable, I think we have to hold each other accountable as well. I know you'll hold me accountable if I go out and turn into an asshole and get a bunch of brand deals that I have no business having on Radio Detox. Like, I think you'll be like, I think you would call me and you'd be like, Heather, or what the fuck is wrong with you? You're better than this.
Is everything okay? I'd be like, is everything okay?
Yeah, like I would trust you to hold me accountable.
The same with you too, right? Like if you saw something strange, if you saw something strange for me, you would probably be like, hey, Car, what's going on? You shoot me an email or something. And I try to do that with people personally inside of Pleblab. Yeah, I try to do that with people inside of Pleblab and the founders that I work with. And then there's some people that I genuinely, have friendships with, and I will shoot them a message and be like, you're better than that, man. Come on. Because I don't think anybody, usually, at least from what I've seen in the space, like if once you get to a certain threshold of like personality and follower and influence in the space, no, they don't have anybody that usually gets like, all they have is yes people around them.
That's true.
And I've come to realize that there's no one really willing to tell them the truth. And I don't feel like it's on me to do that, but I do feel like for the people that I genuinely like and care about, I will reach out to them and like say, hey, come on, man. Like, I love you, but like, you need to like clean this up. Like, because I genuinely care about it. And if I didn't care, I wouldn't say anything. Yeah.
It's funny that you would say that because I've seen this a lot over the years in music and media. And where people get to a certain level of celebrity, maybe because they've earned it, maybe because they were given it. Certainly working in music, I'd see this a lot. You have a celebrity come through and this person is a hot fucking mess. And you look at all the people around them and you realize it's all yes people. Nobody tells them no. And then you'll see like a major scandal hit TMZ, whatever. And you're like, I met that person. I saw how they operate. They absolutely do not have anybody around them that will tell them no.
No, I agree. Like, so for me here in Pleblab, like I have everybody telling me no all the time, or I'm full of crap or whatever. And that's good. I love that about them. That's healthy. And then also too, just like internally, just like me and Teresa, like she's always telling me, no, don't do that. Don't like, we'll constantly go back and forth. Like we had a long road trip this week where we were going back and forth and she was just not letting up on things. And I literally listen to her and I trust what she's telling me because I know her ethos and I know who she is. I've known her for a long time and I trust her. And so I know she's looking out for the betterment of Pleblab, not just Car's ego, right? So personally, I think you need people around you that are going to disagree. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do this. You have to do the right thing for the sake of the right thing. Like we are in the accountability, integrity era now. Whether anybody likes it or not, the fun times are over. It's time to get to work. Assholes and elbows, baby.
Yeah, it's definitely an era of consequences for sure. Yeah.
Now let's move on to like one more thing here because I heard that you are going to be in the little bird told me that you're going to be in the VC Lab cohort in September. I guess it's cohort number 22. Yeah. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I can talk about that. And because I think a lot of people will be surprised. Some people won't, but like I've been working with startups and founders for going on 5 years now. And I've seen a lot, experienced a lot. And I'm going through my own pains as a founder. And I really do think there's an opportunity to build something that will actually help the builders and the people that I've worked with. And so, I had this amazing opportunity to join this fall. And so I said, yes. I was like, you know what? I don't really know this area, but it sounds like these people want to help me build out something that could provide value for the ecosystem. And if it doesn't, it'll at least provide value for the Pleblab community. Because I have a ton of founders that have reached out to me over the years looking for help, and there's just none. There's none. And that's not a slander to anybody that's doing good work in Bitcoin and providing funding. That's not a slander to you guys. This is just the experience that I've seen talking to the founders that come through Pleblab only. And so I feel like I could actually bring some value there, hopefully to the whole ecosystem. At the time when we started in 21, there was no Bitcoin accelerator at all. It didn't exist. And then, Wolf came out and they've since closed down. And then now I think there's like 2 other Bitcoin accelerators now. And so I feel like at this point, we know what to do as a community in Pleblab, and we know the path that we need to go to help some of these people that have come through Pleblab looking for funding. And I feel like at this point, in this juncture in my life, I feel like now is the right opportunity to do that. How it's going to shake out, I don't know. But I do know that I want to give it a shot, because I do think that I can actually provide value to the people in Pleblab and potentially to the rest of the ecosystem. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit about what's going on. I'll learn more as I go through it, but excited to partner with those guys, and hopefully we can bring some sort of like path for founders to get funding, because I think there's a ton of amazing projects out there that could use some actual Bitcoin funding, and it's unfortunate we just don't have enough people doing that. And I think the people that have come through Pleblab over the past 4 or 5 years, they would be highly successful now had we had some sort of funding to give to them. And I think I can help.
Yeah, dude, that's kind of what we need. Like when we started talking today, we were kind of talking about the coin card debacle and how security is obviously job one, and funding, for that is going to be job one. I mean, if we're going to do this thing, this Bitcoinization, this hyper Bitcoinization, if we're going to have adoption, if we're going to have a world that, I think we all agree we want to get off the fiat standard. The inflation is killing people, literally. I mean, I see it here in Phoenix, Arizona. It's 118 degrees today, allegedly. That was in the forecast.
Mm-hmm.
And so we look at that and we go, like, how are people affording this? If you're not getting a raise of a certain amount every year, and I don't think people are getting those kinds of raises, the power bill's going up, this market is expensive. We're bringing in so much money in this market for TSMC. I mean, it's up to like 265 billion that they're bringing into the market. There's 5 million people here already. We have a water crisis brewing. It's bad, right? But we're going to add another 5 million people with that $265 billion. This is the city of the future. But we're also not taking care of our most vulnerable people. We're not taking care of the people who are affected most by this inflation. So we need this. We need Bitcoin in the long run. Like, we know, we've educated ourselves as Bitcoiners enough to know this. We know that where this needs to go, so that we don't just, economically collapse forever and then turn into like a dystopian, movie. I mean, like we know that we need hyper Bitcoinization, but we now know that like we also need to do better with our community, with our ecosystem. We need to be better builders, and we need to create monetary value. Like, we can't just do this for fun anymore and get grants and dick around in a circle jerk and say, "Oh, I built a cool app. Did you build a cool app?" And it's been like that for too long. Like, we need to grow up. We need to get serious. I think you're going to be a big part of that. You've taken the route of just educating yourself about business and how to work with these founders in the long term, and how to do what you're doing. And we need more of that, quite frankly, so we can have fewer problems like we're having now. Like, we just need that so badly. It just became so evident this week.
Yeah, I think the other thing that you mentioned there was, I think if we did have something that was beneficial to the founders, because I'm not saying all grants are terrible. I don't think that. I actually think they can be very helpful for people. I do get the sense, though, that maybe it stifles them a little bit, because I look at ourselves. Like, there was a time where we were reaching out early on to get grants for things through Pleblab, and I'm kind of glad that never happened, to be honest, because it actually taught us a lot about like how to go out there and make it happen for yourself. And I actually think now, having gone through that, I can teach that to other founders. And I think sometimes when you have money handed to you, that actually probably doesn't help you
No, it doesn't.
outside of your, your own, like,
I agree.
bills and stuff like that, livelihood. But I think when you try to do that to a Bitcoin project, it actually hurts you in a lot of ways, because you're not actually forced to suffer. And I don't mean suffer like in like a crazy way. I mean like suffer as an entrepreneur, because those are real hard lessons that you have to learn. And so this is where, like, for me personally, I think if we could create something, because we're headed into like a 2.37, I think I read the other day, $2.37 trillion market when it comes to agentic payments. And when you just siphon off Bitcoin from that, it's like 1.7 trillion market.
Amazing.
And so, like, I think this kind of goes in, I think you're seeing a lot of changes happening behind the scenes, but from where I see it, in my vantage point, is like, there's this huge market, 1.7 trillion possibly out there for payments. There's not really a lot of ecosystem players that are going after this, from what I can tell. Maybe they are behind the scenes, but now's the time to actually go on and try to build these companies, is because it's kind of a reset for what's going to be built possibly over the next course of the next 10, 15 years. And I think that's the most exciting thing. When I look out there, it's like, crap, like, and I've seen Brian Armstrong talk about this. I've seen a couple other people in the crypto space talk about this. And I'm like, oh, wow. So they actually see that too. And I'm sure like the team at Block and all those guys are looking at this too as well. But everybody's chasing that wave right now. And I think that has to do, with kind of like money's shifting, and it's shifting in our backyard as far as like digitally. And I think this week, especially with all the hacks and stuff like that, that's going to be even more things you have to take in consideration. But all that to say, though, that I'm extremely bullish on Bitcoin founders going forward, more so than I was 2 or 3 years ago, because at that time, I don't know if there was just a lot of money moving around through the Lightning ecosystem like it is now.
That's cool. That's where, like, that future focus, I think, is so important. I agree with everything you just said about all the taking of grants and whatnot. But I mean, there is this other thing going on. AI certainly plays a big role. It plays a big role in mining. It plays a big role in what happened this week with CoinCard. It's not going away. I think that most people have no idea what's happening, unless you've worked in AI and understand what's happening. And I'm still trying to wrap my brain around the agentic economy. Like, to me, I'm just like, I don't know if the public's not ready for that. Like, that's like high level nerd stuff, right? To me, because it's like the majority of society right now, to me, is like, they aren't embracing AI. It's consumer facing AI. They have no idea that any other kind exists. They are, Aaron Brockoviching it, and this is a good thing, because, like, I mean, I know that there are AI data centers going in near my home, and everybody in my immediate community is concerned about this. And I think that that's a good thing. We do have a water issue here. There are small towns in Arizona that, like, are struggling because of the water. And so I think we need to ask the right questions, read the room, and go, okay, so what does the AI future look like? I don't know. Is it the agentic economy? And that's one I don't understand still, because I'm not an agent person. Like, AI assisted coding, yes, absolutely. Using AI for all kinds of personal things, research, math, whatever. Love it. Use a bunch of different AI products. I love Claude. I love Venice. I love Maple. Like, those are the things that I like. Most people are still stuck on ChatGPT and, like, hate data centers. Like, you're just seeing a lot of, like, hate right now, because there are new things coming. Like, people hate flock cameras, which I understand. Like, totally get that. But, like, the hatred we see about the data centers, like, it's kind of a weird fine line, because I have family members who are like, you've worked in AI, you're in Bitcoin mining, like, you're evil, like, Aunt Heather's boiling the oceans, like, she's involved in all this terrible stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but this is also the future. Like, we're building the chips up the 17, right? Like, you should see this car where they're working on TSMC. Like, they're actually building a whole city out there for people who work at TSMC to live in. It's called Halo or something. But, like, if you're driving between Phoenix and Vegas, you're going to see this. There's, like, every crane you could imagine if there's at least like a dozen, like at any given vantage point as you're driving by, it's like, it's the most massive thing you could see. And then you see like this like, I don't know, sea of cranes out there. They're building this thing still. Like it's just getting started. And so I go, okay, we're going to build the chips right up to 17, right? Like we got to connect all this. There are AI companies here, but like, I'm just trying to connect the dots still, you know?
Yeah. And I would say, I think this is where like, I'm very lucky to be in Pleblab and to like work with some of these really intelligent people every day and to see the things that I see. But I can just tell you, just like people that are listening, like the plebs out there, like I see this personally after seeing what I've seen. Like this is like the internet revolution when Amazon was coming out, where no one foresaw Amazon becoming what it is. And I think right now out there, we're in the beginning stages of that from what I've seen here. And so that's why I'm saying like right now you can kind of, you can do this in ChatGPT or Codex or whatever you're using. You can kind of already see payments that are flowing just with like the L402 stuff. At some point, those will be like stablecoin ready and all that kind of stuff, and that'll take care of that. But you can already see what services are being paid for. And then the more you use some of these different LLMs, the more you realize that things like for me personally, I was spinning up some AWS stuff last week, and then at some point they had to like close my account because I couldn't build something and you had to do a support case. So you're already kind of seeing that a lot of the stuff that's out there, like it's not breaking. That's not the right term. It's more like there's too much friction in it. And I think what we're going to see is eventually those places will catch up. But I think there'll be a totally different category of Bitcoin tools and Bitcoin services that are frictionless. And I think when I look out there, like what's going to be built, it's going to be those things. I was talking to a founder about a week ago, and he was talking about this really interesting concept. And I asked some of the guys about it in the lab, and they're like, "That's dumb." I was like, "Okay, cool, but like, why? Why is that
just
dumb?"
Dismissed it.
And this is a kid straight out of college, new into the Bitcoin community, knows about Pleblab, knows about AI, knows about Bitcoin, and knows, but it's those types of kids, those types of young men that are doing this, that I'm like, okay, like there's something here. And if he's thinking of innovative ways of how to make, money and build a business just through his like LLM, like I'm sure there's even dozens, hundreds of more of those individuals out there. And I think, to go back to what we were talking about, the VC lab stuff, that's what I'm really looking at right now, just in my neck of the woods, of like what's going to be built over the course of these next, 5 to 10 years, 15 years. It's exciting times. It really is. And I know it's hard to see right now. I totally get it.
Oh,
the average person's not going to understand any of what I just said, or even understand like they're going to be like, oh, car's just pumping something, right? And it's like, I get that, but I'm telling you, like I'm somebody who only wants to work on things that I actually think provide value and that actually will produce results. And this is what I think is going to produce results. I think that the next wave is going to be the agentic wave. That friction is too much friction. It's too much.
Yeah, that friction you're talking about, that's where the products will be built, will be created and built. And I still haven't wrapped my brain, because I'm not an agent person. Like I look at agents and I go, do I need an agent? Like, do I need to build some agents? I could, but why? And I'm not quite there yet. But let's say I spun up an agent right now, and obviously my agent's going to be an extension of me. It's going to be a Bitcoiner. Why would it need Bitcoin? Like, what is it going to pay for? Like that's my first question about the agentic economy is like, show me on needing an agent. Show me on needing my agent to spend Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think personally, unless you're building a business or have already services that you provide, that you need them rendered, and there's just like there's going to be services that you're going to use just through your LLM, and I think for somebody like you probably won't, but to somebody like who's a builder, or I need to pull something from another model, I'm not going to enter my credit card and like go through here, and I'm not going to trust OpenAI with my credit card to like put it in there. So what do I do? I just connect it to my Albi wallet, and then I'm off to the races.
There you go.
But that's what I'm trying to say is like, I'm just going to spin up like a small wallet in Albi, throw some funds in there, and then the rest take care of itself. And we did the AI rodeo this year. We had Roland on there, and he was kind of showing some stuff, and he was definitely ahead of the curve on like what was being built. And I think now, as as more and more of us are working through these ideas and these problems and these innovations, you're going to start seeing stuff just kind of spin out of it, which I think is a good thing. And I think that's where all the like that energy and Bitcoin, I believe, are going to be the three most important things here in the next 5 to 10 years for sure. And I think everybody knows that, but they just don't know how it's all going to connect. But it's happening. People are building this stuff already. Like, so to me, like, it's exciting personally, but I don't think it's not there for everybody yet, but it's not there yet for everybody yet. I would say if you're somebody who has no idea what I'm talking about, it's probably a good thing, but there's people out there already trying.
There are a few. Yeah, I think you have to be like more of a developer to kind of like understand or need an agent. I'm just not that person, but I do like to use AI with a lot of what I do. It does have a lot of applications, and I still consider myself in that consumer facing realm, where I'm like, oh, let me dump a bunch of data in it and ask it to crunch the data for me. Like that's that sort of use case. That's kind of where I'm at with it right now.
Yeah. And I also think too, like you'll see some of these other companies, like, once they start pen testing some of these different APIs that they have, like they'll start opening up a little bit more and you'll start seeing some connections that you can do all through your agent, your LLM, whatever you're typing into your IDE. And I think at that point, like it's off to the races. Good and bad, but it's that the world's changing, and it's just where everything's going, and there's really, you either jump on and hang on as fast as you can, or just kind of you're going to get left behind as a builder if you're not paying attention to what's going on in the Bitcoin AI sector. Personally, that's how I feel.
Yeah, even if you got a white knuckle it.
I mean, like, I also know, just me, I'm probably the most bullish on it inside of Pleblab. So everybody inside of Pleblab says I'm crazy. It's not going to happen. So take that into consideration. Just to be honest.
Take it with a grain of salt. Again, do your own research. Well, I've definitely listened to you.
I'm not here to show anything. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing and what I'm gonna do, because my batting average is pretty darn good at this point. So I'm not gonna not trust my instincts on this.
To learn more, and of course, like I'm definitely like, if I were to ever build an agent, I would certainly consider the source and keep it in the right ecosystem and make sure I know who's building things and if I like and trust that individual or their team. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be interesting to see. And one of the things that, hopefully we get some more grants in like the open source direction, and there could be some more really good pen testing tools that people can start building for other Bitcoiners. So that way the companies that don't have enough funding can leverage them. And I know Blanc just released one about last month. We didn't get a chance to talk about it on Second News Live yesterday, but I had asked Keon about it, and really, really cool stuff. So I think hopefully we get more of that in that direction, just to kind of close the loop what we were talking about earlier. So I think once we have some more of those products out there, especially on the open source side, I think Bitcoiners will be a lot safer and trust AI a little bit more. But it's going to be hard after this week.
Oh God, this was a watershed moment this week, for sure. Well, thank you, Car. You're always a great guest. Anytime I get to pick your brain is a damn good day, even under the circumstances. Real quick before I let you go, how do people get involved with Hackalahara coming up the third week of August?
Yeah, absolutely, and also to you, Heather. Thank you so much for your time and just doing what you do. Officially today, I'm a subscriber of Radio Detox, so you got one more subscriber today, and hopefully more people will sign up too. So if you haven't signed up for Radio Detox Substack, you should, and help Heather pay her electricity bill every month, because it's hot out there.
I know it is hot. It went up like $16 over the summer so far. Like I'm on one of those what's plans.
Do you just do AC all day? Is it just AC every day? Do you just run the AC every day because it's so hot?
Every day, 24/7, all summer long. Now in the winter, I can turn it off. Like I can close the doors, or open the windows. Like, I got my pets in here. Like, the kids come and go, but whatever. Like, whatever about the kids. We care about the cats, right? But no, it's insane because it's the time of year when everyone's struggling with air conditioning. Everyone's getting sick. because it's so cold inside, and then you walk outside, it's 118, and then your car is about 120, 160, somewhere in that sweet spot. Like every time I get in my car, if there's no cover over it, which is the majority of Arizona has no covered parking, my dashboard will say it's about 116, 120 degrees where I've parked my car. And so it's just hot. So I try to keep the apartment at like 72 degrees. Air conditioner is always running. So like I record Radio Detox in a closet that has no airflow, which is why I end up coughing and through the podcast a lot of because like this is the back closet, no air conditioning. Like I have a fan right there I can turn on, but there's air noise from it. So yeah, we're all struggling through. Everyone's living indoors with the curtains closed and it's dark and we're blaring the air conditioning and we all want to go somewhere else right now. We all want to go to San Diego or Denver. It's just what it is.
It's hot here in Austin. So like I've been walking more this year. So I've been using Runster more, but it's hot out here in Austin. And then not only that, it's good for me, but the other day I was telling the guys, I was like walking and it's just been so hot and it's just beating on me. And then I cut my own hair to save money. And so I was cutting my hair and I felt like my skin was sunburned. I was like, oh yeah. No. And it was the hardest. It hurts so bad, Heather.
No, it's been so hot here.
Yeah, it's so hot.
I have to get up at 6 a.m. to do a walk. And so for like 3 weeks, it's been too hot. Like we've had such extreme heat that even overnight, it doesn't really get below like 97, 100 degrees. Like one extreme hot day we had, it was like 100 degrees at 4:20 in the morning. So like why I take a 6 a.m. walk is because I can still see 80, 84 degrees at 6 in the morning. And I get out real quick, walk around the neighborhood a couple times, and then I'm like dead. Like some days like you just can't recover from that. There's not heat exhaustion here is real. Like you've got to be aware of it because it's just
so
like,
it's
we can't
funny.
even have
It's
the
funny you
trails
bring
open.
that up. I have a quick story for you. It's funny you bring that up because I literally had the same thing happen to me the other day where I was walking from my place to Pleblab, and I was like, I was in the corner and there was a guy on a wheelchair, and I thought he was trying to go into the Capital Metro thing, but he wasn't. And then I was like, hey, everything okay? And he goes, man, I need to find some water. I need to find some. And I was like, do you know where a store's at? I was like, yeah, there's one down the street. Follow me. And then we went over there and we got him some water. And then I usually get like a big gulp or something. And then I went up there. He's like, I got you, bro. I'm paying for you today. And I'm like, really? Why? He goes, because you helped me find some drink. And I was like, okay, well, thank you. I'm not going to say no to that. But yeah,
No,
and it's so hot out there where like if you're not getting water, like you're going to pass out.
Yeah, people get confused. You start to see people like if they're sweating, it's still good. It hasn't crossed over into heat stroke yet. But yeah, it's like I said, there was a video going around town the other day of a guy at a gas station just got into the ice chest, like the chest out front. Like there's the big chest where they put all the ice bags that you can buy. Like you could actually like see the guy's legs sticking out, and then he gets into the whole refrigerator and just closes the door. Like it's that hot because like people to cool down quickly, you gotta pretty much put a bag of ice in your groin and your armpits. Like it's bad. Like you can get so overheated up there, and you see this. So that's like mostly the Arizona culture is you leave your air conditioned home, you go to your air conditioned car, you go to your air conditioned office, lather, rinse, repeat, right? And so like people who are out there like in the weather, like if they're bicycling and they don't have transportation or they're riding the bus or they're waiting for the bus. I mean, those bus stops, they look like they're metal to me. Like I there's no shade. Like we didn't plan effectively for this level of heat that we now have the city of 5 million people.
Yeah.
But,
that's wild. But yeah, also to your viewers, if you want to check out what we do at Pleblab, go to hackalahara.pleblab.com or just go to pleblab.com, click on the thing that says Startup Day, and then from there, all the information's there. And then if you just want to reach out to me and ask me a question, just car@pleblab.com is the best way to get a hold of me is through email. I don't really have I have Signal and I have, these Telegram, but I'm not on them enough to like actually
it's hard to check them
be
all.
useful.
Yeah, I'll put all that
but I
in
check my
the
email
show notes for you.
Yeah, just shoot me an email. That's the fastest way to get a hold of me. Yeah, unless you're my mom, then she calls me, but that's the only person.
No. Car's mom, that's the speed dial right there. Well, thank you, Car. It's always great having you, and like, thank you for letting me pick your brain. And it was a good talk. One of the talks that we needed to have, I think, for sure.
Yeah, it was awesome talking to you. You make the show feel very like personal, and I really enjoy that about your podcast, where it feels more like a conversation than it does like an interview. And I'm excited for your next guest who you have on to listen. So thank you again, Heather. You're doing good work.